My guess is he threatened somebody and then assaulted them. He received 5 years of probation. I don't have the actual crimes. I don't have the court dockets. But to catch 5 years of probation is a felony to me. So my assumption is this was an assault second, or he caught an assault third, but the TTs were TT firsts with a weapon. Or they were repeated. That's what my assumption is. It's a very common charge to get TT, and assault is super common. Assault is assault first, assault second, assault third. Assault third is your typical, I felt pain. Assault second is if you break bones, you cause substantial injury, or you use a weapon. Like you bust some guy with a bat in the arm and it hurts real bad. Or you break an orbital, you break his nose, break a hand, that's all assault second. But assault first is, let's say you pistol whip somebody. Let's say you have a gun and you assault somebody. That's an assault first. So typically the assault firsts are with a firearm. Assault second is with any other weapon or substantial injury or broken bones. That's how that typically works. So although that does say something about his history, I'm not sure that it affects your adoption capabilities, or at least your foster capabilities, especially because it was 20 years ago. You know what I mean? I'm not really sure. There may be something to that. But in any case, that's what we know. 20 years ago, 3 counts of TT and assault. He got 5 years of probation. So 15 years ago, he got off probation. So the family attorney said that the family fully cooperated with all questioning and even consented to a full all-day search of their home, including electronic data. The family says Isabella has left the home at night before and even slept outside. They say they have electronic locks on their doors which confirm when Isabella went outside. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here. The family attorney said that the family fully cooperated with all questioning and even consented to a full all-day search of their home, including electronic data. Your electronic data is going to be your cameras. It's going to be like iPads, whatever the kids usually play with. It's going to be the electronic locks. And like streaming data when you logged onto the computer, cell phones, things like that. That's what the electronic data is going to be. And those are very important. For people who have electronic doors or electronic locks on their doors, that's huge. Because that every time that door is opened, it will leave an electronic file. But then also, you have cameras everywhere. Let's not forget. Cameras everywhere. Everybody's got a camera nowadays. All you do is see cameras. Every time something happens, somebody posts from the neighborhood watch app or whatever, this is the camera footage from that night. People got dash cam footage on their cars. There's Ring doorbell footage. There's security camera footage. I don't know. It's everywhere. Remember, one of the pleads, remember we talked about when you're investigating a crime, there are 7 things that you look for. And it's PLEADS. That's 6 things. It's photos, latents, evidence, area check, diagram, and surveillance. So, the last thing, and sometimes, most of the times, the most important thing is that surveillance footage. So there's got to be something. And anymore, you can see at night. Just the regular one that you get at Costco for $100 a camera. For $3.99, you got like a really nice security set. So the family attorney says that they cooperated with all questioning and even consented to a full all-day search of their home, including electronic data. The family says Isabella has left the home at night before and even slept outside. So this right here, this is not uncommon. It's just not uncommon for people, for kids to walk out of the house, especially when they have nice climates like Florida, Hawaii, California, things like that. It's never happened to me, but it's more common than you think. It doesn't make it right. And to me, I don't care if she left at 1 a.m. Why don't we know when she left? That's something that bothers me. So, police know something. Because for whatever reason, they're not releasing it. And that's going to be an important reason. Police will release information when it helps the investigation. Police will release information either when they want to draw information out from the public, or they will release information when they want somebody to get nervous about the information they released and make a mistake. But sometimes they don't release information, and it's important to know why. When talking to witnesses, when you're interrogating people, or if you have a suspect that you're already looking at, you will hold on to information that the public doesn't know, because you need to know who did the crime, and the only person who did the crime will know those particular things. Anybody in my Patreon, you guys already know. We talk about it all the time. Detectives will often not release certain information, and it's important to protect that. So, when they actually interrogate the suspect, he will know information that others don't. And that's real. So, I'm assuming that in this case, they have some information. I really think they do. I think they have some information that they're not telling us. So I think that for us to accept that the police officers have information that we don't have is a crucial part of understanding how this investigation is going. It's very indicating. They have information they don't want us to have. If there was electronic locks on those doors, they know when she left. If they know when she left and don't tell us, then they're using that for something. They have that information for something. So, it's not that they have given up or that they've failed in some way. It's that they're going to use that information for something. So Barbara Kumai, Isabella's grandmother, says she's been affected deeply by her granddaughter's disappearance, especially since the little girl once lived with her. Barbara said she had custody of Isabella and one of Isabella's sisters in 2017. At the time, Isabella was 2 and her sister was 8. Barbara said that her daughter, Melanie Joseph, was addicted to drugs and homeless at the time, along with her husband, Adam Sellers. So that's important to know. So we know that the mom was addicted to drugs and homeless, along with her husband, Adam Sellers. So she took custody of Isabella. Apparently, Isabella was placed for adoption by DHS, so Department of Human Services Child Welfare, because officials didn't like the fact that Isabella's grandmother's boyfriend was involved in a serious motorcycle accident, and the social worker told her that she didn't want her to get overwhelmed. She said, every time she came to visit, I had just come home from the hospital and I was tired. So DHS took Isabella from her grandmother and put her into foster care and put up for adoption. The grandmother says, she should have given me a chance. I wanted to try. You don't know how many times I called her and left messages. I felt something just wasn't right. HPD reported that there are some family members and acquaintances who have not come forward and are not cooperating with the investigation. I don't know what that means. To me, as an investigator, if I'm withholding certain information about a missing girl, I'm either doing it because I think releasing that information will hurt that little girl, or releasing that information will hurt the investigation of a little girl that's not alive. So she's either alive, and if they release that information, it could endanger her, or she's not alive, and they want to be able to solve this case and find her, so they can't release that information because that will be crucial in determining if the person that they're watching knows that. I hope I'm making sense on this one, but it's very important. So the fact that there are family members and acquaintances who've not come forward yet, I don't care if they're family or they're acquaintances. If you know that the police want to interview people, you volunteer to go down to the police station if it can help find that little girl. The fact that there are people who, after the police had said we want to speak with people, there are people that still haven't come down. I don't like that there are people in the house who haven't, because literally you could have nothing to do with this, but the police want to have been able to meet with you, to just ask you where you were, what you think happened. These are questions that they ask because they indicate certain red flags. So I think for me, it's very telling when somebody doesn't come forward. So if you guys remember, so my Patreon will understand this because we talk about it all the time. When we went through Gary Diaz Honolulu homicide in chapter 7 about the Honolulu Strangler, one of the ways they knew that this one guy had stopped at the 5th victim, her car had broken down. And so the witnesses saw that her car had broken down on the Nimitz on-ramp to get onto H1. They saw a van that pulled up and had its flashers on with white writing on the back windows pull up to the car when it was having trouble. And that's all they knew. A Caucasian male, cream-colored van with writing on the back. Well, after like a month, was it a month? Maybe, I'm sorry, no, it was maybe a week. After like a week, they hadn't had anyone with a cream van in white lettering, Caucasian male, come in to be questioned. Because if they were innocent, let's just say they pulled up to help. Listen, bro, if I see somebody on the side of the road and I pull over to help and I'm driving a white van, that person ends up missing. And the police say, we want to talk to the person who's driving the white van. I'm going to the police department saying, bro, I stopped and helped that person. Everything seemed fine. Or she was acting weird or whatever, right? I'm going to say what happened because I was helping. But for the person who did that to not come forward, it was a red flag. So sometimes saying nothing is a red flag. And that is concerning that there are people in the family and acquaintances who have not cooperated. I don't know who these people are yet. So I can't point any fingers. But HPD did say that some family members and acquaintances have not come forward. And actually they said are not cooperating with the investigation. So even Isabella's biological mother, Melanie Joseph, was helping with the search. Police said at this point, there is no evidence to suggest that Ariel has been abducted. So that doesn't mean that there's evidence against it. That's two different things. We do not have evidence that she was abducted, and we do not have evidence that she was not abducted. Many, though, have been critical of HPD for not having issued a Miley Amber Alert. This is where things get messy. Because I think people jump to conclusions when Miley alerts aren't given out. A Miley alert is not just, hey, someone reported their kid missing, let's issue the Miley alert. That's not how Miley alerts work. A Miley alert has certain criteria, and it's very strict. So sometimes a child is really missing and an Amber Alert is not issued. And it's legitimate because there wasn't enough for the Amber Alert. You could argue, though, that you should change those things. However, let me say this. Just because a Miley Amber Alert was not issued does not mean that police are not expending all of their resources to find the girl. The missing persons detail is on call 24 hours a day. I know them because when I was in CID, the people who I worked with, some of them were on call missing persons detail people. So I remember being in really big investigations and the detective getting the call and having to drop what they were doing to go and find out what happened to this missing kid. So they really are responsive for the missing children. The problem is there's tons of them. And most of them, 99% of them, are runaways and come back. Probably more than 99%. So just because the Miley Alert wasn't issued does not mean that they're not looking for the child. But it does mean that there are certain things, certain resources that don't get allocated at that time. And some people have been critical of HPD for not having issued the Miley Alert. And some people are critical of the Miley Alert for not having more achievable thresholds. So HPD says the circumstances did not meet the criteria for the alert. But we all know that there was that story about Detective Miley Rago. If you guys remember, I did a video on it, the Steven Girona video. On the replay of this video, I'll put a card in it for you to watch right here. But she was the whistleblower who said she believed the Miley alert system was subjective and ultimately up to the supervisors upstairs in CID. So she had wanted to put out the Miley alert on baby Katana, but he didn't want her to. So it's obviously more complicated than what we know. And I don't know what the exact criteria is of the Miley alert. Vice Detail. Aloha, Doug. Thank you for the videos. The community learns a lot from your insights. Back to all the way. Thank you, Vice Detail. Appreciate you for the super sticker. Thank you for the support. But I think the point is that the Miley alert is not what people think it is. But it's not just a missing child. For a Miley alert to be approved and for the approval to be granted, like let's say for instance here in Michigan, there has to be proof or at least reasonable suspicion that a child under the age of 18 has been abducted and is imminent danger of serious bodily injury or death. So the reason why those things are important, the reason why they use those distinctions is because most of child abductions are done by parents. And most of those children are returned. Most of those cases are custody cases, and the child's not in any danger. So they have to have those thresholds, or else every single time a child gets abducted by a parent, when really it's just there's some kind of a custody dispute, but technically the one person is supposed to have the kids that day, they could file for an abduction. And they don't want that to happen. They want to avoid that. So not only do they have to believe that the child has been abducted, but that they're in imminent danger, not just missing. So technically, at the time, if police believe that that baby walked out of that house at night, that is not an abduction. And if they don't have that abduction, they can't issue the Miley alert. But it's still a dangerous case with a missing kid. And if I'm up in that detail, we're out looking. We're doing all the things we got to do. And we're going to talk about those things, what those are in a minute. So the State Attorney General's Missing Child Center, which is a clearinghouse that assists law enforcement and affected families, has been involved in the search for Isabella, along with, hear me now, 40 other ongoing cases like Baby Katana and Big Island's Benjamin Raposa. If you guys remember that case. 40 other ongoing cases right now. So think about how many that is. Ongoing cases. This is not like a kid ran away, went to go stay at Auntie's house in Waianae. These are 40 ongoing cases of missing kids. But they will work together. There's multi-agencies working on these. With local cases of abuse by foster parents like Christopher Konishige of Hilo, who was sentenced to 10 years in prison for kidnapping and choking the 2 children he was fostering in 2015, People are reminded that these things which seem to be horrible are real. And we have to understand that that does happen. Let's not be ignorant to the fact that just because 99% of all these missing children are found and it wasn't an abduction, it was just the parent didn't give them back or they were a runaway or whatever. It really does happen. Bad things happen to some of these kids. It's a really low percentage, but it does happen. So the grandma says, I'm hoping something will surface. Someone will crack and say something. I'm sure it haunts them if they did something to her. They got to worry every day if they get caught. I'm hoping if they have a conscience. That doesn't sound good. And it breaks my heart that the family doesn't know what's going on. Can you imagine? You don't know where the baby is, if they're dead or alive. But the thing about missing children is, it's right from the get-go, guys. From the start, it's difficult. Right from the moment, it's difficult. And as a law enforcement, from law enforcement perspective, it is super important that you find out as much as you can about that child. So the missing person detail or the missing children organizations with the Attorney General, with HPD and with FBI, they gotta know as much as they can about the child right away. They gotta know what their abilities are. You know what I mean? Like, it's important to know if a kid can climb up on a table or climb up over a wall, like on the side of Nu'uanu Stream. What their disabilities are, if they have disabilities, right? Like, they can't run yet. Like, children in their developmental stages, there's certain things they can do, certain things they can't do. And so it's important that they know that. They have to know, has the child gone missing before? Right? Because children who run away more than once. Children who sleepwalk, they do it more than once. And those are signs. And then you got to think, when they disappeared before, let's say they ran away before or they went outside and slept outside, which is what this family is claiming, where were they found? How long did it take? What did they do when they did that the last time? So these are all part of the things that detectives need to find out right away and get this information out. You got to know, can the child swim? Dude, that's a big one. You got to know, can they hear? Can they talk yet? Do they understand English? Right? Do they speak with an impediment? Or are they nonverbal? You know, some kids, they don't talk for a long time. Those are things that everyone's got to know right out of the gate. So, of the 40 cases active on Hawaii right now, almost all of them are on Oahu. And most of them are categorized as endangered runaway juveniles. Unlike this case, this is not what this case is. So let me give you guys some stats and break down the phenomena of missing children. This will give you perspective on, as a whole, a broad picture, the bird's eye view of missing children. In 2019, 421,000 children were reported missing. 421,000 children. 1 out of every 10,000 missing children that get reported to the police is not found alive. That's 1 in 10,000. I don't know how much the Blaisdell holds. Anybody know how much the Blaisdell holds? I'm gonna look it up right now. $7,700 seats. So, not even one child. If you filled up the Blaisdell with 7,700 kids, who have gone missing, they all come back home. That's 1 out of 10,000 is found not alive. In the US, a child goes missing every 90 seconds. Just this video, this part 2 that we went on, that means there's been 45 children going missing since we started this. 45 children since we started this. And if you take into account the other one, it's more like 60 have gone missing. Every year, an estimated 203,900 children are victims of abduction. So 420,000 of them are missing. Half of those are victims of abduction. $4,600 children are abducted. Of those 200,000, 4,600 by strangers. So guys, 420,000 are missing every year. Half of those, 200,000, are abducted. Only 4,600 of them are abducted by strangers. So 203,900 abducted, basically 200,000 of those, 199,000, are abducted by their parents or people that they know. So that should go to show you, like, it's obnoxious how many of them are by parents or people that they know. A family member masterminds 9% of child abductions due to a custody dispute. So 1 out of every 10 is a custody dispute. Around 35,000 of these abductions involve 6 to 11-year-old children for a period that could last from 1 week to 1 month. So that's a third of them now. Over a third are 6 to 11-year-olds for a period that could be 1 week to 1 month. Ariel's 6 years old. She fits right in there. Family abductions were often intended to affect the custody battle. And in 66% of those cases, the abductor was the male relative. And now, keep in mind, those are stats, but they're not conclusive. One of the other things that we got to start thinking about, especially in these times, is that COVID-19 is actually having an effect on missing children. That's unrelated to this case, but on a broader spectrum, the NCMEC received reports where some children ran away from home because they were frustrated with the restrictions brought on by the pandemic. So that's another added inflammatory response to the pandemic, especially in Hawaii. Can you imagine? You guys have been on lockdown longer than anybody, wearing masks longer than anybody, and that can get to kids. But keep in mind, most of these are just runaways. They're just juvies that want to get away from home for a little while. So let's talk about the different categories of missing children. We got endangered runaways. We got family abduction, non-family abduction. We have abandoned or unoccupied minors, and we have lost, injured, or otherwise missing. So that's like the catch-all category. 35% of the active missing person records are juveniles under 18. So that's a third of them. Every year, 99% of runaways return home. And fortunately, the missing children stats have been going down every year. We just talked about drugs yesterday. The drug stats are going up. The missing child stats are going down. I think that has a lot to do with technology. You can keep track of your kids and where they are. They can't just get away from you. So those are the stats on missing children. Now let's get into my thoughts, okay? First thing, And here's the most important. This is the most important thing that I have to say. This is about finding Isabella, baby Ariel. You guys, from an ex-cop's perspective, you, people who are not police officers, are going to be more effective and useful in searching for this child. We talked about this in previous videos. The reason why is police officers, they only have so much power because they're considered government officials, and the Fourth Amendment is written for them. But you, as a private citizen, you don't have to do that. You're not bound by that Fourth Amendment. You're not a government official. You are more useful and important in searching for the child than police are. An overwhelming amount of the people who are found by non-law enforcement. It's a small fraction of the case that are found by law enforcement. So the stats show that if we're going to find baby Isabella, baby Ariel, it's going to be you guys. It's just what the stats show. When the child is missing, everybody's got to step back, stop pointing fingers, and focus on finding the child. Let the police focus on their investigation, which will slowly narrow and tighten like this. I don't know who's in the middle, but they do. Let them focus on that. Your efforts need to be finding this baby. The longer she goes missing, the greater the chances that she's not alive. And the longer that she goes missing, the longer the chances you don't even find her. Search everywhere. You should be searching everywhere. You as the private individual, you have more rights than law enforcement does. I say it all the time. You're allowed to ask questions and you're allowed to search areas that police are not without committing crimes. You got to call friends, you got to knock doors, you got to tell everyone. Search everywhere you can. Police can't do that. The Constitution prevents it. Here's where you should be checking. High danger areas. I'm talking pools, hot tubs, streams, lakes, canals, any nearby body of water. Vehicles, you have plenty abandoned vehicles. Nighttime, a kid is cold, they're going to try to climb in a car. Car trunks. Because if a child goes into a car and is looking for some place to hide, they can climb through the back into the trunk sometimes, under the cars, parking lots between cars, old refrigerators. Kids get trapped in those all the time. They're looking for some place to get warm. My uncle told me that one day his parents were arguing. He was 6, I think, 7 maybe. And he went outside and he fell asleep in a roll of carpet. There was a roll of carpet on the side of this house. He crawled in the roll of carpet because it was cold out. And he fell asleep in the roll of carpet. And then he was so comfortable in the roll of carpet that when things happened as time went on, if he got mad, he would run away for the day, for a few days, When he would come back, he would come to his house and sleep in that roller carpet outside and no one knew he was home. But he could hear his family in the house. And then he would leave before they came outside in the morning. That happens. Look inside closets, under beds, places children will hide. Check under your houses. In Hawaii, got those houses where they're up on stilts. You got the area underneath. Check under there. Your house, your neighbor's house. Ariel's somewhere, guys. She's alive or she's dead, I don't know. But she's somewhere. Chances are she's in Waimanalo. Check with neighbors that your kids usually play with or visit. And then fun areas, playgrounds, hills, hiking trails. Here's the important thing I want you guys to know about when you're looking for a child. The most effective way to recover a missing child is to put the child's photo in front of as many people as possible. Chances are you're not going to be the one that finds baby Ariel. Chances are it's going to be someone else. So the more someone else's you can create by showing them pictures, the better the chances you're going to find this baby girl. The wider the reach, the greater the chances of finding a key witness. The NCMEC employs a variety of strategies using shopping bags and toll booth tickets. So put them on shopping bags, toll booth tickets when people have toll booths in the mainland, because you can drive 10 states in a day. In Hawaii, it would be at grocery stores. It would be in like shopping malls, be at schools, post office, Costco, signs at the corners. Walmart, the gas station. So that's important. The single greatest way that you can cut down on the time it takes to find baby Ariel is getting as many of those photos out as possible. Sharing on social media, doing videos. So number 2, this is the second point I want to make. The police are better equipped and well trained to investigate what happened than you are. Your job should be finding her. You have a greater chance and a greater probability of finding Ariel than the police do. But the police have an overwhelming greater chance of finding out what happened than you do. If you know something, tell the police. If you suspect something, tell the police. It can't hurt. But you got to let them do their investigation. There's something going on here. I don't know what it is, but for the chances that they know something based on that digital data and they're not telling us, means they're onto a trail. Which could be good or bad. Could mean they don't want baby Ariel hurt. So they don't want this person to panic. Or it could mean they know that she's not alive and they want to find the person who did it. And so telling the public more information doesn't help baby Ariel. But they want to find out who did it and be able to explain what happened. So there's a reason why they know these things. I don't know what it is. Let them do their jobs. The missing person detail is highly trained. They train with the best. The FBI, they actually get special training just for this. They use profiles, FBI data, past case history that they have access to and you don't. You just don't have the same capabilities as the police for investigation. And keep in mind, HPD and FBI are working together on this. So one thing that I've noticed, it's not just in Hawaii and it's not just in this case, that the court of public opinion condemns the innocent more frequently than not. Just because someone has a criminal history, like in this case, doesn't mean they kidnapped or murdered someone. It doesn't mean they're innocent, though. But it doesn't mean they're guilty. Now, I don't know these people. You guys may know them. You guys know more than I do about who those people are. Hopefully you went to the police if there's something bad. Anyone who knows anything, please just go to the police already. Even if you suspect something, just go to the police. They'll get it worked out. Who cares if someone's feelings get hurt? We're looking for this baby girl. I have a baby girl. I don't care whose feelings get hurt. I'm trying to find my baby girl. So, number 3, ask of God. See something, say something. The first step to a strong and healthy neighborhood community. Thank you for the super sticker, ask of God. Appreciate you. Thanks for coming through. You're right. The third thing that I want to tell you guys is what we can learn from this. This is important. Because the most common thing that I hear when something bad happens, not just a missing child or whatever, any death or injury or overdose or your kids making bad decisions, I always hear, I never thought it would happen to us. Tell your kids you love them. Lock your doors. Buy security cameras. I take a picture of my kid every day. I would recommend, we got phones now, the camera's in the phone, it's all good. You can delete the old pictures. Take a picture of your kid every single day, preferably in the clothes that they're wearing. What I suggest is on their way out to school, take a photo before they leave. So if something happens, you can go to the police, say, here's the photo I took this morning. This is the clothes they're wearing. This is what their hair looked like today. You know how many times we're looking for somebody who's missing and there's a 5-year-old photo? Right? Or it doesn't even look like them anymore? Take a picture of your kids every day. Tell them you love them. Lock your doors. Buy cameras. Know your neighbors. Hawaii is better at this than anyone. Knowing your neighbors. Sure, it's annoying when your neighbor's all nyele, but that's community, man, when you know your neighbors. Talk to them. Not only does it give you a better chance of understanding when something's off, but making that connection is a deterrent from them doing bad things to you. And as often as you can, you want your children to meet the police. I don't care what you feel about police officers. I want your children to have as much exposure to the police, good exposure to the police as possible, especially when they're young. Because you want them to be able to go up to a police officer and feel like that police officer will help them. They're too young. They never got pulled over by the arrogant cop yet. You know how everybody gets pulled over by that cop who's being a douchebag on the traffic stop, right? And so you're chirping at him, or as soon as you drive away, you're like, oh, that guy was a punk or whatever. But when they're young, they don't have that yet. Don't put that in their heads yet. When they're young, you want them to want to go to police officers, doctors, firemen. Because that will really affect if a child will ask for help. how confident the child feels that they can get away and get help from somebody. Another thing is, guys, teach your kids to scream when something bad happens. My training, my experience has taught me that what makes kids extra vulnerable, not just kids, a lot of women as well, is the fact that they stay quiet until it's too late. Teach your kids to scream when something bad is happening. Bringing attention to it will almost surely deter the person from doing what they wanted to do. Too many times kids were told, if you tell somebody what happened, I'm going to hurt your parents. Or if you scream, I'm going to kill your family. And then the kid is scared. You got to teach them, man. Scream no matter what. I don't care what they tell you. I don't care if they tell you they're going to hurt somebody else or they're going to hurt you if you scream. If you don't scream, you're gone. The only way it works for the bad guys is if you're quiet. You make noise, you're safer. That's the truth. Teach your kids to scream. And I guess the last point that I want to make is we don't know what happened yet. No one does. Now, as time passes, this will be revealed. As time passes, we're going to find out what happened. Be patient. Pray for baby Ariel. Get out there and look. Look around. In your neighborhood, you got a house on each side of you. Chances are. Look around. Go to your neighbors and ask. Say, hey, what do you say we go walk around through our street and we just look? Right? Organize just your street. Just your cul-de-sac. Just your alley, whatever you live on. Make some flyers, pass them out and say, hey, we're all going to walk around with each other. We're going to check under the spots that people don't check. You know how many old ladies have never checked under that pile of wood? It could be something that simple. Check the forests. Check the mountains. You know those homeless camps that you don't want to go check because you don't want to bother them, or they're all stink, or you're scared? Get a group and go down and check. Bro, you can get anywhere through those streams. Honolulu Harbor, all the way up to Nu'uanu. Just walking up that stream. You can get anywhere. You can get anywhere. People are hiding. I'm telling you guys, the encampments that I have seen, you go under some of these canals, under the roads, hundreds of feet. There is an area just below a Waiulimu Park, a Waiulimu playground, where the canal goes underground for football fields. And it's a huge 25-foot cylinder, emptied out, like a silo, for hundreds of yards. And when you go in there, there's artwork on the walls, like hanging pictures and paintings, furniture built, wallpaper. I'm telling you guys, there are cities underground. And you can get to these places. There's ladders. Technically, that's trespassing. The city doesn't allow people to go down there. But when you're going down there to look for a missing person and you got people with you, right? Do what you got to do. That place that you always wondered where those Korenics were walking, and jumping down in that canal behind the building or whatever. Dude, canals are everywhere. Everybody lives in a valley, right? So you know that canal that I'm talking about. We all have that canal by our house. Take a peek. This baby girl needs help. Police cannot do what you can do. Not only do they not have as many police as you guys have, as the public, but they can't go in places you can go. Let me put it this way. I got a phone call once from a girl up on Tantalus, and she said, I think my roommate's boyfriend is stealing firearms from the military and selling them before he gets PCS'd or whatever and has to leave the island to go back to the mainland. I go to the call and the girl says, yeah, I walked in on the boyfriend once and I watched him put a huge gun, like a huge gun, rifle, banana clips. She was describing like an M16, and she said, I watched him. I walked in and he had this Pelican case open, a big plastic case, and I saw the gun inside and he closed the gun. And then later she had heard him talking and saying that he was trying to make some money before he left the military, or before he left Hawaii, which is where he was stationed. He's from the mainland. She overheard him say that he was stealing the guns from the armory on base. These were decommissioned guns that they decommissioned, and he worked at the armory, and he would take them because they don't have serial numbers anymore. They're not commissioned. And he was stealing them and trying to sell them. It's a soldier now. And then this girl called me and said, I think this guy is selling illegal guns that he's stealing. Do you know that I cannot go in that case? And I can't even get a search warrant for it? It's just a girl saying that there's a gun in that case. And if I could get a search warrant every time someone said something bad about you, and because the Fourth Amendment is strong and it's important, I can't go in that case. But I tell you what could have happened. Because I ended up sending that to the military. And the military checked. And the military found those guns. And that dude was stealing guns that were decommissioned from the military. And he was trying to sell them. That girl was telling me the truth. But I couldn't go into that container. But I tell you what could have happened. Pay attention now. If I showed up there and that girl had opened that container and pulled it out in front of me and said, officer, this case right here, see this gun? This is a stolen gun. I heard him say it was a stolen gun from the military. I could have taken photos. I could have retrieved the gun, put it into evidence. But because that case was closed, me as a police officer, I could not open it. Because I could not see it, I couldn't enter anything into evidence. So I had to make a miscellaneous public report. It's called a mispub. But I forwarded it over to some friends at ATF, and they're federal. They got a lot more ways to do things. And they started watching him. Sure enough, he was stealing guns. So that should explain to you, like as a police officer, there are things that you cannot do. But if that girl had opened that case right in front of me while I was standing there, I could have made something happen. The problem is I can't tell her to open that case. So the whole time I'm thinking, please open that case. Please open that case. If you open that case right now and I saw those guns, I can make something happen. But I can't say that because I was wearing a badge, and basically she would have been acting under my power. She would have been compelled to do it, which would have been a violation of the Fourth Amendment on this guy. So I couldn't do it. And in this case, it's the same exact thing. You guys need to get nosy. If you want to find baby Ariel, you got to get nosy. And I think it's what it comes down to. If you want to find baby Ariel, if the public wants to, you guys should get involved. And don't stop. The reason why you don't want to stop, you don't want to give up pressure, is because let's say you have a huge area and everyone focuses on this area and they search for a week, but then they stop. Well, if Ariel was over here being held somewhere, all nervous, the person holding her all nervous, that you guys are working here, and then you stop for a week, that gives that person a week to move Ariel so that when you guys start searching over here, Ariel's over here now. Now, I don't know what's going on with Ariel, but I'm just saying if you guys are going to do it, we got to do it, and we got to keep going. Don't stop. Move from one side to the other. And if you guys are asking questions and getting nosy, and we can really boost the force that's looking for her and asking questions, we'll find her quicker. And the quicker is the better. Remember how we started that video. Time is our enemy right now. Right now, it's our only enemy. We should not be focusing our hatred towards anybody right now. Even if those parents did something, we should not be thinking about them right now. This is about the baby. What if baby Ariel's alive somewhere, being held somewhere, and we're worried about pointing fingers? Let's find her first. Once we find her, point all the fingers you want. Let's find this baby. She needs us. That's why I want to do this video. Just so you guys know, Isabella is 3 foot 3 inches tall, as she was last reported, weighs 46 pounds. If you have any information regarding Ariel's whereabouts, you can call Crime Stoppers. That phone number is 808-955-8300. You could find that in the description in this video. I will also post that in the chat right here for you guys who are watching. And I will start going through some of these chat questions. I'm going to drop this phone number for the child abuse or neglect hotline. If you think anybody's being abused and neglected, this is the hotline to call. I'm dropping the child trafficking hotline number. True story, I was on a flight from Hawaii, or from the mainland to Hawaii when I was turning in my gun and badge. And I watched a guy who I thought was trafficking a girl on a plane. And she tried to call out for help from her seat. I heard them kind of like arguing, and I saw her hair moving like he was hitting her, but you couldn't really see. He was doing it kind of undercover. And I saw her try to raise her hand, and I watched him grab her arm. She went to push the button for help. And I went up to him and told him to chill out. And I asked her if she was okay. And she was crying. And he was very apologetic. And then I reported it. Because there is a trafficking task force at HPD. And I reported it. Said, this is the guy. And I walked over, and would you, on some crazy circumstances, the very next day, after I had told the trafficking task force officer what happened, he was like, did you get a license plate? I said, no, I didn't get a license plate. The next day, I'm eating at Costco, Hawaii Kai, out front. And as I'm sitting there, I see the girl that I saw on the plane. that we just landed the day before. And I follow the girl with my eyes. I'm sitting at the table with my family. I follow her and she's walking out to a car. I look inside the car. The dude that was there on the plane was driving. So I got the plate and I called it in. I don't know whatever happened to it. But those are the things I'm talking about. If you see something, say something. Because sometimes people can't speak up for themselves. And we know we got trafficking problems in Hawaii. All right. So I'm going to get to some of these comments. If you got questions, go ahead and leave them in the chat and I'll get to them right now. I'll spend the next 15 minutes answering questions. Nothing's off limits, guys. It's all good. It's a process of eliminating the possibilities. Report what you find to Crime Stoppers. Touch nothing. DNA is going to be checked by forensics. All true. Thank you, Nalani Howe. I have a good friend, Dustin Howe. Good dude, solid dude on Oahu. Original BLO. Prayers for her safe return too. Prayer works, folks. Pray for that girl. Yeah. T.K. Holani said, we can find Isabella like they found baby Cleo Smith. That's a crazy story. I'll leave a link for you guys right here. BBC did a story on it. That is the Cleo Smith case. That girl was missing for 18 days, y'all. 18 days, and they found her with some dude. She had wandered away from their campsite. Some dude kidnapped her. I believe put her in a cabin, I think miles away. And they found her. She's alive, and they got her back to her family. That's what I want for Isabella. And I know that's what you want too. We got to get out there and start looking. Candy Girl, thank you. Yeah, we hope you guys find her. I'm really far away, but this is all I can really do. Is make a video, try to spread awareness, try to give some encouragement, education on what to do. Kim Mansona, what's up, Kim? Thanks for coming through. Good to see you. Kyle McMahon, Backroads, Nalo, you can get all the way to Monowilly Falls. Princess Lily Bell, Hakuna Matata, says there were 3 eyewitnesses that was able to describe the adopted grandfather and uncle and their 2 cars and where they were at. Can they arrest with just that? No, they cannot arrest with just that. That's reasonable suspicion. They can start watching them, and I bet you they are. PHK Johnny Walker, this was before your time. There was a similar case, Peter Boy. I remember the Peter Boy Kema case. We studied it in Police Academy, and I'm going through it in my Patreon with my Patreon group. In the next few weeks, we're going through the Peter Boy Kema case. And I remember when the conviction came. The mom, if I remember correctly, the mom ratted on the dad. Original BLO said if you do that in some isolated place and somehow find the girl, you become the #1 suspect. That may be true. but that'll be really short-lived. If you are, what I like to do is, before something like that, record yourself. You have your phone, yeah? So do a recording and say, hey, listen, I'm about to go out and start looking. These are the areas I'm going to check. It's this time on this day I'm going to start looking. And record the whole thing. When you get to a spot where you see something that's out of the ordinary, start recording it as you go through it. Then that takes away all the suspicion. Everything is recorded, right? The recordings can help you. Johnny Walker said, my mom's taught us if we were being chased by a stranger to scream, your house is on fire, and everyone responds to a scream, but not everyone responds to a scream, but they will to fire. That's a good point. Have you seen her pictures covered in bruises? The teacher reported abuse. I haven't seen the pictures covered in bruises or the teacher's abuse reports, but I did see that one video of her in the shopping mall walking out of the walking out of the parking lot, carrying her sister or groceries or something. PHK Johnny Walker said, are the feds involved in this case yet? Yes, they are. They already are involved, which is a good thing. And Nan says, Elena Kaeo, thank you for the super sticker. And thanks for coming out to the chat. I know you have mentioned some things. I'm trying to go through all the comments, and there's tons of them. So if you got questions, please ask. Shauna, yeah, it is weird to sleep outside. Don't get me wrong. That's not normal. It's probably more common than you think because you can do that in Hawaii. My kids aren't sleeping outside. It's freezing over here. But that actually does happen. Especially kids who are dysfunctional, grow up in dysfunctional homes. So when you have kids that have had multiple caretakers or parents, I mean, at that young of an age, like, they think you're their mom in 6 months. You know what I mean? It's almost like being institutionalized. And that's what they do. Like, that can be a symptom. A lot of times they don't like to sleep in the same place. They get used to not sleeping in the same place. So that's a real thing. But yeah, it's not normal by any means. Now I wonder, do you guys remember that that surveillance footage that came out that everyone was wondering, was this baby Ariel? Remember? It was that nighttime footage, and it appeared as though a child or something small was walking down the street. I don't remember where that was though. Do you remember? I just don't remember what that was. I do think that she looked malnourished from the photo, Shauna. That's for sure. She didn't look super healthy. You know what I mean? I didn't see her before, but from what I saw, the after photo, she didn't look that healthy. And I wonder, and Kai Bull 7 says, neighbors must know the kid was abused. I don't know if they know the kid was abused, but they might have known, like, you know what I mean, had thoughts. Okay, now I know who Cowboy is. Yeah, he's known for fighting against the wrong here in Ireland. Yep. Oh, okay, so Princess Lily Bell. Are you saying that that video is from Oneava? And Halela? Okay. Yeah. So there is a possibility that she was out there, but it doesn't look good, guys. It doesn't look good. And it's not getting better. It doesn't look good for baby Ariel. It doesn't look good for the adoptive parents. Because until we got something else, they're suspect number one. So I don't know how long this case is going to take, but this is already unusual. This is already abnormal. We're talking, it was like early September, yeah? So we're already a month and a half. T. Keholani, in your opinion, what do you think happened? Chances are somebody she knew hurt her. I don't know enough about the home situation, but like I don't know what people lived in the house, things like that, but right now that's how it looks to me. The chances that a baby walks away from that house and then gets lost or falls into the water somewhere and washes away never to be found all on her own are slim to none. She was either taken by somebody she knows, she was either taken by somebody she doesn't know, or she left on her own and was found by somebody who she doesn't know. But it doesn't look great right now. But I don't want to talk about the bad things that could have happened until we know. Because there's families, there's people that are involved that need hope right now. And I've seen crazier things happen. And so to the family and to the friends and the people involved, take heart. Strive for hope, because what baby Ariel needs right now is for you to be looking. And I wish I could be there to help, because that's just a little baby who doesn't deserve to be out in the cold, doesn't deserve neglect, doesn't deserve abuse, doesn't deserve to be lonely. That's what we got to do now. Everybody's got to mount up and find Ariel. She needs us now. Check everywhere you can. Aunties and uncles' houses, grandparents' houses. Check your kids' houses. If you're older and you got kids with houses. Check the basements of your apartment buildings. If you got shared spaces at your condos. Check everywhere. Make it a point. Trade one thing this week to go look. Instead of, like, if you work out every day, take that one workout. Just dedicate 45 minutes. If you got kids, take your kids with you. Tell them you're going to go try to find a lost baby girl. Hunters. If you know a hunter, tell them check their spots. Check the mountain. Check everywhere. Check the reef. Every time you drive by Halona Blowhole, Makapu, all the bushes in Waimanalo Beach, Sherwoods, all the neighborhoods, that rubbish pile down the street. Go down there, spend a half hour moving the plywood or the busted up wood, the construction site. You got to go look. That's what we got to do to find her. Princess Lily Bell Akuna Matata, is there an email to contact you? I don't know if you're talking to me. If you're talking to me, yes. You can get me at doug@dougkorenic.com. I'll put it here in the chat. And you can get me at Doug Korenic on all social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, YouTube, TikTok. And hit me up. If you guys have any information, I'll take the information as well. If you have information, I would suggest that you give it to Crime Stoppers. I would suggest that you give it to the authorities, the Missing Child Center, the Child Abuse and Neglect Hotline, the Child Trafficking Hotline. But if for whatever reason you don't feel like you can do that, you're too close, you don't want to get in trouble, you don't whatever, you can hit me up. Send me an email, doug@dougkorenic.com. And I'll do what I can. You're right, TK Holani says, we have to find, with me having 5-year-old twin girls, this case hits home for me. She could be my own daughter. We have to find her. I have a 6-year-old. And I hear you. I'm right there with you. And until then, guys, just remember this. You may be right about who you think did it. You may be right. That doesn't help Ariel right now. Let the police focus on that. Don't get distracted by the hatred and the anger. If you have something that you think helps the investigation, tell police. Let them watch. They have ways. The FBI has ways. You just get out there and look for the baby. I will keep you updated. Whatever comes out, if we have updates on this case, I will continue to make videos about it. I was really, really hoping that we had found her safe by now, and I didn't want to hinder anything. I knew it was getting pretty heated. But at this point, it's like we don't have any updates. I don't know what's going on. When I search in Google, I can search by date, and there's nothing. There's been nothing. I just don't understand why it's not every single day. Why every single day on the news, on KITV, KHON, Hawaii News Now, that they have a video, that they start the broadcast off with, "We're still looking for baby Ariel. Help us find her. This is what she looks like. This is what she might be wearing. Here's the area she was." Kaolani says, "Do you know how the detectives would go about finding her? Maybe something that we can do without impeding the case." No, they wish they could do what you could do. They wish they could look how you could look. That's what they would be doing. Police would be looking the way you could look, but they're not allowed to. They're not allowed to go to certain places, and they don't have the people. So, organize, do what you got to do. Donate. I'll donate right now. Is there a GoFundMe? Does anyone know what the GoFundMe is? I can't find it. If you have the GoFundMe, put it in the chat. Tio says, "Doug, do a GoFundMe reward so to raise the bounty. 11K won't incentivize a criminal, only a chronic." I will say this, though. 11K won't incentivize a criminal, only a chronic. But a chronic will help you find this baby, too. Problem is, I don't think 50K would incentivize that same criminal. If 11K won't incentivize him, 50 won't. It's going to have to be 100. I think that 11K is for the chronic. But there's so many chronics. Somebody had to have seen something. So, no, I do not feel great about this, guys. And I don't want to end the podcast on that. Because what's important is it doesn't matter how we feel. It doesn't matter what the odds say. We got to get out there and find her. So if you know anything, report it. Get out there, start searching. If you guys organize something, let me know, and I will try to give it as much exposure as I can. I only have about 7,000 subs, but any little bit helps. So if you guys are going to organize a search, let me know. Anybody who watches this video, let me know. Hit me up, Doug@DougKorenic.com or @DougKorenic on any social media. All right, guys, that's it. I'm going to sign off now. I appreciate you guys for coming through. Please pray for baby Ariel and donate if you can and spread the word. Get out there and look. Let's see if we can't find this girl and bring her home safe and put everybody's worries at rest. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you so much. Couldn't do it without you. Thank you for coming through. I know it's a horrible topic, but to connect with you guys and build and try to make Hawaii better, try to make the keiki safer. This is what it's all about. Thank you guys. You guys are awesome. I appreciate all the support, man. Until the next time, aloha.